Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nedling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Nedling, and I'm coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to share topics and guests that will empower you to grow as a confident leader that will take your business or your life to that next level. Today, my guest is G. Wright. Let me tell you a little bit about him. G. Wright has been a tour manager and sound engineer for many well-known artists and bands. He's worked with many publicity departments, publicists, record labels to prepare artists, the lead singer mostly, I'm sure, for media interviews. He shares his proven tips and techniques that performers use so that they can go on stage. And now authors, coaches, and creative entrepreneurs can use those same tips and tricks that those rock stars do. They will promote their books, their services, or products with these wonderful tools. His clients learn how to create a crystal clear message, craft their signature sound, and connect with their audience in rock star VIP media training. We'll learn more about that in a minute. Today, our theme is how to channel your inner rock star. Please welcome our guest, G. Wright.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, this is great. I have such an eclectic group of artists and guests on. And so when I saw that you had that music industry background, I thought, oh, I have to have you. I just love the music industry. So I start always with a very simple question for you. What part of the country do you call home?
Well, I'm currently in State College, Pennsylvania, home of Penn State.
Go Nittany Lions.
Sandy works. I grew up in Pennsylvania, but then I went on the road and I've lived in Nashville and Austin and LA and Singapore and London and extrovert Gemini. So always on the move. But yeah, State College is home now.
Yes. Beautiful area too.
Yes. Happy Valley.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So tell us why and how you got your start in music over 25 years ago.
Yeah, I'm older than I feel, at least, right? It's like 25 years. Wow, it's probably longer than that. Ever since I was, a kid growing up, I wanted to be a radio DJ. So I used to pretend with my, Mickey Mouse record player, and I play my mom's Barry Manilow and Carpenters and Beatles records, and I scratched a few, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
So I always wanted to be a radio DJ. And then at 16, I actually became a commercial radio DJ for this top 40 station.
Nice.
And at the time, I was one of the youngest in the country with an FCC license. So I was going down this path of my heroes like Casey Kasem and Shadow Stevens. And now I'm dating myself, right? Rick Dees, Dick Clark, right?
I know them all.
Right, I know. We're from the same generation. And I wanted to be a radio DJ, so that's what I was going to do. But then when I graduated high school, I went on the road with this USO type tour where we performed at veterans hospitals all throughout the country in 48 states, 48 of the 50. And I was doing sound. And then while we were on tour, I ended up sneaking into a Whitney Houston concert and meeting her tour manager. And that moment of the crossroads, you know what I mean, Vicki, where you're at that point, it's like, and there's just something telling you like, okay, this is what you're going to do. That's it. I made that decision that day. And then, 25 years later, yada, 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 worked with all these artists. And now we're here today,
Yeah. It's all about the right place at the right time
Yeah.
and the ability to say yes.
Yes, absolutely. And really like being able to recognize when that opportunity is there and go with that intuition and that sixth sense of like, I should say yes to this and just go with it.
Yeah. So many people pass wonderful opportunities because they're afraid of the unknown.
Yeah.
And it's always
very true.
If you could just take a moment before you say no and think, what will happen if I don't do this?
And that's the, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, and what am I maybe passing by if I said yes?
Yeah. And think of, there's always a backup plan.
Yeah.
So the worst that can happen is if you're going down a path and you face this, like, say you're an entrepreneur, you started this business and you're at that crossroads of where you need to quit the 9-to-5 job and make that big leap right into doing it full time. What's the worst that can happen? You can always go back to a 9-to-5 job, but you got to really strike when those opportunities come,
Yeah. So if not, you have that great word, regret.
Yes.
Always wonder what if.
What if? Yes.
So give my audience some advice on how you teach people to speak with confidence and clarity.
So after working with those artists for 25 years on the road, we traveled everywhere. We went all over the US and Canada and Asia and Europe and many different countries, right? Everywhere we went, we did media. We did a ton of TV. We did a ton of radio. So what I do now is I'm the producer and rock star media trainer for All Things Relaxed Studios. What we're showing you is that you can take the same techniques and tips that these artists use before they perform on stage or before they go on an interview. And you can learn these and incorporate them into every time you're talking to your audience.
Yeah. Because if you have that, then you go in with a more confident feeling. You almost feel like been there, done that. I'm ready,
Right. And the thing, and you have a lot of experience with public speaking as well. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you go in front of a crowd or on a show, because every time you perform in front of somebody, we look at that as a show, right? It doesn't matter how many listeners there are. Doesn't matter how many are in the audience. If you're on TV, it doesn't matter how many millions of people are watching or not watching. All you have to do is talk to that one person.
Yeah. Make that connection.
Yes.
Make that connection. And that's always what I try to teach people is just find somebody that's smiling at you.
Yes. Make that one connection.
Start there, you know.
Talk to them. Go find your super fan.
Yeah. And also smile at people and they give it back.
Yes.
Like
have fun.
Yes, absolutely.
Have fun, because if you're speaking in front of a crowd or you're going on an interview, you're doing what, I don't know what the percentage is, 80, 90%, whatever of the planet, the number one fear is public speaking.
Yeah. So
if you're doing that, you're overcoming that fear. You're already ahead of a lot of other people. And
so, I guess one of the biggest fears of, say, a rock star or, an athlete maybe is that they won't know what questions are asked. We always talk about what you know.
Right.
And so I guess from media training, you do give some questions in advance that you approve, I guess. But there is always that time where someone will ask you a question and you don't really want to answer that. Or so how would you train or coach someone in that situation to be professional and smooth, have some, okay, I got this.
Well, I think the first thing we do with Rockstar is we start with the why. The why you do what you do.
Yeah.
And being your authentic self. and knowing who you're talking to and what you want to say, and having these stories, that you can share. So if somebody asks you a question that maybe throws you off, a little bit, or maybe they're trying to get a reaction out of you, if you go into the interview knowing who you are and what you do and what makes you unique and the message that you want, using the power of 3 and tempo and cadence and features and benefits and all the, tips and tricks and all that, then if you're just answering it as your authentic self, then that's what you do. There is no right or wrong answer. You can always steer it in a way of talk what you're comfortable with.
Yeah. Take that breath and don't let it rattle you.
Yes, exactly. Because think about like your favorite singers out there that forget the lyrics on stage. They don't just stop the show. They just point the mic at the audience and go, you guys sing. I don't know what the song is, and it just goes on and people love it because they don't let it shake them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a performance and there's an emotion that's attached to it. Yeah.
So how do you create that crystal clear message that will resonate with your audience?
I think the key to creating a crystal clear message is knowing who you are, what you do, who you're talking to, what makes you different. So like our messaging is like who we talk to, and all our messaging is, we show coaches, authors, and creative entrepreneurs. Yeah. That's the who. And then when that's what we show is like, just the power of 3 is very powerful. I think if you go out there and you try to talk to everybody, then nobody listens.
Talk to no one.
Right. Yeah. So if you just go out there and you just know like, okay, I'm going to work with coaches and my messaging is all catered to coaches, then that's who you're talking to.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the other people that may be listening that aren't coaches, because that's not who you're talking to.
Right. Right. Yeah. You can't be everything to everybody. Right.
Right. Exactly.
So in the beginning, we talked a little bit about this, but there are so many things that you can do in the virtual world as well as in person that help you connect better. Give our audience just a few tips that you would do to share to help to connect.
I would say, everybody always uses this phrase because it's true. The hero's journey. When you talk to your audience, put them in the story.
Yeah.
When you're talking about, like I just shared with you, growing up as a kid, as a radio DJ, you want that to resonate with people, that whatever they were thinking of when they were a kid, it immediately goes there. And that creates that connection. Like, oh yeah, you're right. I always wanted to do that. Why did I stop doing that? and just cater your message, being authentic, right? And just having a conversation. But always, try to keep that one person you're talking to in mind, and you're just having a conversation with them. So bring them into the story.
And that's really key, is it's not a talk, it's not a speech, it's a conversation.
The conversation. You're sharing a story.
A conversation puts both parties at ease.
Yes.
A lot of times you'll see some speakers and they'll just talk at you, and you kind of intimidated by them. And if you're having a conversation, there's that give and take.
Right. It's like a concert. The artist is performing, but the conversation is the audience is giving back to the artist. When they want them to be hyped up and jump up and down and all that, that's the emotion that they have. When they want to slow it down, and back in the day, everybody would lift their cigarette lighters. Now it's the iPhones.
Yes, that's right.
But when they want to slow the audience down, the lighting, everything creates that environment. They're getting that back from the audience. It's the same thing when you're talking to your audience.
Yeah. Often whenever I'm teaching how to have a better speech, how to say it better, I refer a lot to music. Because a song has that vocal variety that I'm trying to get out of the student or the speaker, is understanding how powerful being loud but softening.
Yes, how the dynamics.
Just like lean in to hear.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit how your experience with working with these rock stars
Mm-hmm.
has helped you in your training of the author who might not feel
Right.
comfortable being bigger than life or out there.
Well, that's a great point, Vicky, because I think a lot of people may not realize that your favorite performers off stage, off camera, are really introverts and shy and quiet. And when they step on stage, and I say, like, even if you're going on social media, you're going on an interview like this or TV, when you step on stage, they flip a switch and they become that personality that and their authentic self, and they're a storyteller. So if you think of yourself as a storyteller and all you're doing is sharing stories with people, then you can incorporate what we call the set list. So rather than having to have all this stuff memorized, and it's okay if you're using a script or note cards or whatever, but if you have this set list that goes over these different stories, then all you have to do is remember, and you rehearse it, of course, but you have that set list. So it's like, oh, when I get to this, when they ask me a question about why I started my business, instead of I started it because of this, this, and this, you have this great story that goes with it. And that's what we show you with Rockstar, is that it all starts with preparation too. Got to remember, every one of these singers, before they go on stage or they go in front of an interview, they rehearse a lot and prepare for it. And then that way, when they get on stage, they're ready to go.
Yeah. Because it's not the first time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Very good. So what advice would you give your 20 or 30-year-old self?
Oh, like we were saying off camera, I it wasn't 10 years ago. I'll say that. It was a little longer than that. I'm not as old as I feel, or I feel as old as I am, or how does that? Okay. So
age is only a number.
Age is a number. Experience is everything, right?
Absolutely.
And to go back to when I was in my 20s or 30s, I would say, I would tell myself, don't be afraid to establish your value. Don't be afraid to draw that line in the sand and say, this is what I do and how much I charge and who I work with and everything. And, an example of that is I was, getting ready to, looking for tours in the summer. It was coming up on summertime and I didn't have any tours lined up. And I drew that line in the sand where I said, okay, this is the type of artist I want to work with, and this is the rate and everything. And I got some opportunities that didn't meet that line in the sand, so I turned them down. Now, if you're an entrepreneur and you're at that point where it's like, hey, I've got to raise my prices or, change my business model or strategy or something, and it's very scary. But by doing that, within a week, I got a call to go out on, which was still to this date, the biggest tour I've ever been on. And it was sold out arenas. And our first show was 100,000 people in Dallas. And that was the Jonas Brothers tour.
Oh, wow.
And I'm dating myself now. And I was with a band called Honor Society. And I got the call out of the blue, and they're like, hey, we got your resume like a year ago. Another reason, sometimes people you contact you a year later, and they're like, here's this tour. And it turned out to be, at the time, the biggest arena tour of the year. U2 was only bigger than us doing stadiums. We had 200 touring staff.
Oh, my.
22 buses, 20 semis, and a jet. And I almost lost out on that gig because I was going to take a van and trailer tour playing clubs. So it's kind of like, and we had this with one of our clients too in the band in Rockstar, is that she was at this, I won't mention her name, but I mean, you can look at our website and see her testimonial and things. But she was like doing this low dollar offer. And then after working with us, she's like, because we're like, you are really valuable. You have a skill that not many people have. You have that X factor, that uniqueness, right? And now she's decided to up her, her prices to work with her and everything. And now her business is really starting to take off, because I think when we get rid of that self-doubt, and like we said before, just take that step, right?
Yeah.
And don't look back.
Right.
Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple things of what you said, no is never no. It's just not right now, not
Not
yet.
right now. Yeah.
And I always tell people, I'll believe in you until you believe in yourself.
Yes, that's so great.
Yeah, because, you sometimes see the potential in people.
Yes.
Just from having those conversations, you can see that there's something there, and that they just don't have the confidence yet.
Right.
But if you believe in them and work with them,
yes,
and make just such a change in their life.
And sometimes as an entrepreneur, we're too close to what we do.
Yeah.
Like we talk about with features and benefits, right? Feature is, I have 8 weeks of Zoom meetings. Okay, great. Well, people, maybe that's what sells it, but what's the benefit of it? That you're part of a group, you're supported.
That community.
Right? So when people, especially, band members come in and then they share like, okay, who are you? What do you do? And we do this in one-on-ones as well as you do with your one-on-ones. And they start saying who they are. Somebody like you or I, or other coaches can see like, well, that's really your X factor right there. I know you think it's this, but it's the fact that this is what your passion is. Yeah. That's what you should lead with. And then they do it and then they become successful. And you're like, wow, it's like, and that's the same thing with the bands too. A lot of times the songs that became the biggest hits were songs they weren't even going to put on the record. Yeah. And now they're the ones that we sing all the time.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. That's one of the things I love to do is I'll hear a song and I'll think to myself, I have to watch that song because that's going to be a hit.
Yeah.
And it usually is.
And it is. Yes, I know.
Yeah. All right. This is the time that maybe will make you sweat. Should it?
Okay. That's fine.
It's the rapid fire time.
Rapid fire.
Yes. And this is going to be hard to narrow down, I am sure. But what is the best experience that you've had in these 25 years or so in the music industry?
Getting a personal call from an artist, the Queen of Soul herself, Aretha Franklin, called me personally. I thought it was a joke because normally
you were being punked.
I thought I was being punked. I asked my friends, I'm like, why would you guys play a joke on me? Because the manager or the record label or the publicist or somebody in the team will reach out to you. The artist doesn't really reach out the first time, but she called me personally and hired me. And I was just like, this was, and then watching the movie, with Jen Hudson, it was like, yeah, that has to be the top.
Yeah, I would rate that pretty high.
Yeah. Best voice I've ever heard in my life. May she rest in peace. Yeah.
Top three. Let's rewind there. Top 3 things you would avoid.
Following trends. Taking advice from, excuse me, a little feedback there. Taking advice from people that don't share your same belief system, and thinking that YouTube videos are better than actually hiring somebody, a professional, to do something like, we just had the kitchen renovated and we hire a professional to do the kitchen. We're not. I can't look at YouTube videos and try to figure it out. We just got to hire somebody who that's what they do every day, and then let them do it, Yeah.
Wow. So what did you learn in these last 2 years?
That we are all connected. That even when with the pandemic, it really seemed like it would disconnect everybody, I think it brought people together. I think it advanced business because now we realize we don't have to just be one-on-one in the same city. With the technology and everything, we can work with people anywhere on the planet. And when you travel around to all these different countries, you see and realize that we're all really connected. We're all very much the same. Yeah. We all went through it at the same time and we're all there for each other.
It really, I think, brought out a lot of innovation and creativity that might have not come out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the fact that having a one-on-one meeting or having a meeting used to be like, okay, you go into an office or a coffee shop or something. Now, because of the technology, you can meet with people all over the planet, and it's more normal now.
Yeah.
I think it's much more normal to say, okay, I'm going to talk to this person in Australia, and it's not like, I have to get on a plane to go there.
Yeah.
You can do it on Zoom.
and I think I always loved the interviews that you had on television, but I thought, well, that's big time, but I love doing this. And so this media, this really affords you to really be able to get to know so many people and bring so many people to others. And I think that's something that we didn't really think was possible. That it would be too sterile or not effective.
Right.
But I think that we learned a lot in these 2 years. With all the bad.
We all pivoted. We all pivoted.
Well, those that didn't are still sad and frustrated and looking for an answer. And the answer is just to embrace change. Embrace change.
And like we have technology now that 10, 20 years ago we didn't have. Embrace this technology. You have a voice and it deserves to be heard. And you have all the technology you need, all the training, all the coaching, everything you need to get your voice out to people. So don't let it hold you back.
Yeah. And don't discount that your ideas, your thoughts aren't worth sharing.
Yes, exactly.
So what are you most grateful for?
Oh, wow. I did. Well, I could say, my partner and co-founder, Sandy D. When we got together, and she's an introvert Virgo, and she was terrified of public speaking, and I'm an extrovert Gemini, and I have no problem with public speaking. And the fact that we got together and that we're like the yin and yang,
I'm married to a Virgo too.
Oh, so there you see, what? And what's your sign?
But I'm Capricorn.
Capricorn. Okay. See, it's a yin and yang. She balances me out. I have all these ideas and like, oh, why don't we do this and this and this? And then she brings me back down to reality. Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. She keeps my feet on the ground of like, okay, let's, being married to a Virgo, it's great. And
So
I would say,
All right. I'm going to share my screen. And for those that are listening in, I will read the website and email address so that you can have some contact information. So G Wright's contact information, his website is www.allthingsrelaxstudio. That's ALLTHING. We'll start over. www.allthingsrelaxstudio is ALLTHINGSRELAXSTUDIO.
Studios, just to
there's an
That's
S on there.
I didn't have my glasses on earlier. Yeah, all things relax studios.
And it's on the bottom. Yes, and his email. His email is Gregory at allthingsrelaxstudios.com. The whole .com got off of there too. So, and so you see here, his Facebook is again All Things Relax Studios. His Instagram, Sandy D and G. All Things Relax Studios. Yep. And he's on LinkedIn. Of course, Gregory G. Wright, producer and media trainer for Rockstar VIP training, media training, All Things Relax Studios. So that's his contact information. Real quick, go ahead and get a screenshot if you haven't done so already. It's been wonderful spending some time with you today.
Yes, thank you, Vicki. This was so much fun.
Yeah, you gave us some great tips and tools, and I hope that everyone will take advantage of connecting with you. So go to that website and grab any information you can off of that, connect with him, ask him questions. Yep. And just want to remember that life is a journey.
Yes.
And it's up to you to enjoy the ride.
Absolutely.
This is
Thank you.
Vicki Nethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.